Welcome back, everyone. Before I start, I want to apologize to anyone who watches my videos, follows my channel and wanted to hear me talk about anyone other than Chris Watts, or, just something else other than Chris Watts. But lately I felt the need to try to take away, as many viewers and as much attention as possible away from Kim Kaufman and her stupid YouTube channel. And, also draw attention away from that weird, bizarre feud that she's having with that armchair detective guy. They're just bickering like school children over a case that's already over, bickering about, again, a convicted murderer, which is kind of weird. But at the same time, it's kind of quite the spectacle because, again, they're fully grown adults and they're bickering like school children. But that's not what I want to talk about. I am trying to, again, draw some attention away from Kim Kaufman. And, if I can have one person watch this video and they watch this video instead of a Kim Kaufman Revelation and the Reckoning video, I'll feel like I did a good job. So let's move on to the point of this video. And the point of this video is to remind everyone who this case is really about. It's about Chris Watts, okay? And who is Chris Watts? Well, Chris Watts is an idiot, okay? They made that Netflix documentary about him, American Murder, The Family Next Door, and probably should have been called American Moron, The Idiot Next Door. Okay, because again, that's what Chris is. He's an idiot. Well, maybe he's not an idiot, but he's not, the sharpest tool in the shed, brightest bulb in the box, whatever. Maybe you don't think he's an idiot, but I think we can all at least agree that Chris Watts is not, the smartest guy in the world. So today I have written down a list of things off the top of my head that Chris Watts has said and done that have just kind of left me confused, scratching my head as to how did you think this was a good idea, or why would you do this? These are mostly things that someone using common sense would probably not do. A little bit of thinking, like 30 seconds of thinking about these things, and you'd probably be like, well, that's probably not going to work out. That's probably not a good idea. And let's get right into it. So the first thing I have written down is this recent message from prison that, again, he sent from, Kim Kaufman. She posted on her YouTube channel. And I'll link that message if you haven't heard it, but I'm just going to assume you've heard it if you're watching this video. And when I listened to the message, I am kind of just left, again, confused as to why Chris would think that anyone, cares about what he has to say or cares about his feelings. Like, did you think that someone was going to feel bad for you, Chris? You killed your wife and kids. No one's going to feel bad for you. Like, oh, gee, Chris, it's too bad you're not a cat, because then you'd have 9 lives and, you'd have 4 left over when you're done serving your 5 life sentences. You'd still have 4 lives left. It's like, come on, Chris, no one's going to feel bad for you. And then in the message, he goes on to say, don't trust armchair detective. And, maybe, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't trust him, but, that's not the point. The point is, why would Chris Watts think that anyone was going to take his advice on who to trust? Again, Chris is a well-documented liar. There's hours of footage on YouTube of him lying to the police, to the media, to the public, whoever. There's hours of footage of him lying. So why would he think that anyone was going to trust him as to who to believe? I don't know. It's like I can't even really believe anything at face value that Chris Watts says. I'm still not even convinced that he had macaroni that day. Like, did anyone actually see him eat the macaroni? I don't think so. So if I don't believe that, I'm not going to believe I'm not going to believe you on who to trust, Chris. So, I don't really know why he even bothered to say any of those things. No one was going to, trust what he had to say. So that doesn't make sense. So let's move on to the next thing. And these next things are all during his, short career as a criminal. I think it maybe lasted like 6, 7, 8 hours before cops were in his house. I can't stress that enough. Chris is one of the worst criminals I've ever seen. His career as a criminal lasted less than 1 day. And I think that's impressive in a way. It's impressive that he got caught that fast. And I think that's one of the reasons this case is so interesting. But let's get into some of the things that he kind of just overlooked that, you'd think the normal person of normal intelligence would probably notice if they're gonna, commit a crime as risky as murder. And the first thing I've written down here is his neighbor's camera. Again, let's keep in mind Chris and his family had been living at that house. They bought it in 2013, so they had been there for like 5 years. And they had to have known that that neighbor had a camera. And how Chris just forgets about the camera when he's committing, again, this triple homicide, I don't know. It's like, Chris, there are other doors, there are other ways out of your house, buddy. And why would you pull your truck right into the view of the camera? Okay. It's like, how do you overlook that? I don't know. Again, probably because he's just stupid. But let's move on to the next thing. Again, keeping with the truck theme, why would he drive his truck, which again has GPS in it? They're going to find out exactly where you went, Chris. And it's going to look awfully suspicious when they check the oil fields and find some bodies that, again, you left there in oil tankers. Like, no one's ever going to open these. And then, no one's ever going to find this shallow grave right over here with these bed sheets right next to it. I don't know. It's like, Chris, there was another car in your house, and you just killed the only other person who can possibly drive it. So I'm sure that if you wanted to take that car, you were free to do so, buddy. You didn't have to take your truck with GPS in it. And now it wouldn't really end up mattering because, again, Chris would just confess. But it is, astounding that he would overlook that. But let's move on. And the next thing I've written down here is he calls the school to say that his kids aren't going to be there, or at least the eldest child wasn't going to be there. Gee, Chris, that's not suspicious on the day that your family goes missing. Hey, they're not going to be here anymore. I don't know why. I'm just a guess. I think they're not coming back. It's like, come on, Chris, wait a couple days. I'm sure the school will find out when they see you on the news saying that your family's missing that they're not going to come in. So I don't know why he calls the school. That has always confused me. And same goes, this is kind of in the same boat. Why would he text the realtor about selling his house the day his family goes missing? And say, Chris, I don't know, man. I don't know. Your line of thinking there, I just don't get it. But let's move on. And another thing that I have written down is Nicole Atkinson. Okay, Chris and Shanann have been married, or had been married for some time. So it's like, okay, you got to know that Nicole Atkinson and Shanann are probably in contact like 24/7. She's going to notice that Shanann is missing probably almost instantly. And obviously she did end up noticing like instantly. Because again, Chris's criminal career would last like 12 hours before he gets caught. So I don't know how he doesn't remember that, hey, maybe your best friend's going to come looking for her. Okay? It's like, come on, buddy. You could have come up with something. I don't know. And then the next thing I've written down is his fabulous performance at his porch interview. Again, that's the interview where he's, smiling into the camera as he's telling, the world how his family is supposedly missing. Again, he's got that huge grin on his face. It's like, Chris, have you ever seen someone whose family's actually missing? Because that's not how they act. That's not what they look like. It's like, come on, buddy. You're smiling. You're smiling. You look like you just won the lottery, buddy. It's like, come on. Jeez, Chris. Next thing is when Chris first gets picked up, obviously he gets interviewed or interrogated by detectives, whatever word you want to use. Why doesn't Chris get a lawyer? And this is a big question for me. Because again, if you've seen like one episode of like CSI, or like one episode of Law and Order, or even like an episode of The Wire, or maybe like an episode of Breaking Bad, you probably know that you should probably get a lawyer when the police are, talking to you. It's like, Chris, you're being interrogated as a suspect in a murder. Okay, Chris, maybe, just maybe, you should get a lawyer. Again, it is one of your rights. And that leads me into my next point. I feel like a lawyer probably could have told him, hey, Chris, buddy, don't take this polygraph. They can't use it in court. And, Chris, you're not going to beat it, okay? I saw your porch interview, pal. You're not, you didn't fool anyone on the porch interview, so I don't think you're going to fool these trained detectives during this polygraph, buddy. You probably could have told him that. But again, Chris takes the polygraph because, again, he's an idiot. Think Scott Peterson, he was smart enough not to take it. He didn't take his polygraph. He was just like, no thanks, I'm not going to do that. And, that was kind of just the end of it as far as the polygraph goes. And Chris could have done the same thing. He could have just been like, no thanks, Tammy, I don't feel like it today. And just walked out. But again, no, he takes it because I don't know if he thought he could beat it, I guess. It's like, okay, geez, Chris, again, we just saw your porch interview. I wonder if Tammy and Graham were surprised when he agreed to take the polygraph. They're like, wow, this guy's an idiot. That's what I would have been saying to my colleague if I was a detective. I would have been like, this guy's actually going to take the polygraph? It's like, geez. And for the last thing I've written down is his appeal. The good old 35C, the good old coerced confession. It's like, okay, Chris, how did you come up with a coerced confession? You pled guilty. You took the plea deal in which you agreed to plead guilty to all of the murders. No one had a gun to your head. You had ample amount of time to refuse the plea deal. So I really don't understand how he's possibly arguing that his confession was coerced. Now, I know he's talking about when he first initially confesses to the crime to get into his dad. So, there's that. And I know that's what he's talking about, but it's like, okay, like a month later, you just admitted to it. You pled guilty in a court of law. So I don't know how this is going to add up in your appeal. I don't know how you could possibly think this is going to work. Actually, now that I think about it, I think him believing the appeal could possibly work. Probably you should chalk that up to delusion rather than, I don't know, lack of intelligence. Because again, I feel like Chris, in the back of his mind, probably knows that his appeal isn't going to work out. But, for the sake of not going crazy, he's got to convince himself that, there's a chance. There's a small chance I'll get out of prison, so he doesn't go crazy. But that's some of the things that I had written down. Obviously, Chris Watts has done a lot of dumb things, and that's not all of them. There's tons of other stuff that Chris does and says that just leaves you. It's like, I don't know how you can be this stupid. How do you have, this? You have like a stunning lack of common sense. Is a good way to describe Chris Watts. Just blissfully unaware, no common sense, has no idea. He's just, again, blissfully unaware of the things that is going on around him. It doesn't make any sense to me. But that's, again, just some of the things that Chris has said and done that have left me, again, scratching my head as to why he would do these things. So thanks for watching.